Okay, so now it's time to go over the mobility, activation, and coordination component of the pre-workout routine. So what we've got here is a clock set up for 15-second intervals, and we're going to do 20 different mobility or activation, coordination type exercises to get the body ready for the movements of the day. Okay, so we're going to start with the bent over eye. Go ahead. On the bent over eye, what we're working here is thoracic or upper back mobility. So Hunter's got a nice flat back. He's sliding the arms and the shoulder blades along the plane of his body. That's a real important coaching cue, along the plane of the body with the upper back. Okay, good. Now he's going to go into seated rotations, and now we're getting a rotational mobility for the upper back. So as he rotates completely to one side, he's exhaling, and that helps to get the full range of motion on that particular side. Okay, now we go into a dead bug, which is a core activation drill. On the dead bug, he's got his back flat against the ground. He's going to take his opposite arm and leg and extend them while maintaining a flat spine. Okay, so opposite arm and leg to start the progression. Okay, then he goes to the other arm and leg. Now, if you feel like your student athletes get to the point where they're beyond this is somewhat easy, the way to make the drill a little bit harder is to go same arm and same leg at the same time. Okay? The trick, though, is keeping this lower back flat against the ground as you do this exercise. Okay, one leg hip lift. So on the one leg hip lift, what we're looking for is a glute activation. So one leg is going to be straight, and he's just going to bridge his hips up and then come down. Yeah, and this leg, you don't have to get too finicky on that leg. It can be straight. Main thing is off the ground. We're looking for nice tight abs so we don't hyperextend. Hunter's doing a great job with that. Go ahead and switch sides. Sometimes what people will do is substitute that hyperextension of the lower back for actually pushing their hips up. So we're getting Hunter to really activate the glutes. He shouldn't feel it in the hamstring, although he may at first. He's really got to teach himself to use just the glute. Okay, and now we're going into a glute bridge. On the glute bridge, we're just going to hold it isometrically, and we're going to ask him to contract as hard as he can. So this is maximum contraction of the glute max muscle. Same thing, no hyperextension of the lower back, abs nice and tight. Then he's going to go into a side plank. Okay? On the side plank, we're looking for really, really good posture. Chest up tall, nice straight lines. He's working really hard to squeeze here and here, activating the muscles of the external obliques as well as the glute medius on the lateral side. And he's going to turn and face the other direction. Same thing, we're looking for a really strong contraction here. Squeezing, he can even activate that shoulder girdle, obliques, and glute medius. The next drill is a front plank. So now we're working on the stability of the anterior chain. And the key here is to avoid hyperextension in the lower back. You see, Hunter's doing actually a pretty darn good job sucking that belly button tight to his spine so he doesn't get that sag in his lower back. Okay, and then he's going to go into a Spider-Man stretch, which is a hip mobility exercise. It's going to be a push-up position, step right next to the foot. Good, and you can actually pick up the tempo just a tiny bit on the stretches. There you go, Hunter. Nice job keeping the back leg straight so he gets that hip flexor work as well on the back leg. Now he's going active calf stretch. We'll start with the right leg over the left leg. He's going to push his left heel down towards the ground, then come on up on his toes and repeat the stretch on the same leg for the duration of the interval. This is a great calf stretch, working on ankle mobility. He switches sides. One of the reasons I like these active stretches is that by holding them for just a couple seconds and working on flexing the antagonist muscle group, we get a little bit more relaxation in the muscle that we're trying to stretch. This is a great mobility exercise to start the workout. Now he's going yoga push-up, so he's still in push-up position. He's going to do a normal push-up, nice flat back, and then he's going to come up and push those heels down, pull the toes up, and slide the shoulder blades all the way up, just like you see him doing here. Okay, so one of the things you got to coach up is get student athletes to shrug those shoulders like Hunter's doing, do a free range of motion of the shoulder blades. Now we're going to go into half kneeling active hip stretch. So he's going to take a half kneeling position, and we're going to stretch this hip flexor, first by tightening that glute, then relaxing, flexing at the hip, and now extending the hip. So he's going to start with the right side and then work his way to the left side. Good. On this, same thing, we want to be really careful not to let our student athletes hyperextend that lower back. Okay, if they do that, they're really not going to get much stretch on the hip flexor. So abs tight, back in the neutral position. Now he's going to do a sumo squat. Working on the mobility of the hips is a great pre-squat stretch. And then after holding it for 2 counts, he's just going to straighten his legs but maintain this flat back. And then go right back down into the squat stretch, eyes straight ahead, and then nice flat back. Okay, so about 2 counts in each position on the sumo squat with stand. Now he's going to a rotational lunge. He's always going to rotate towards the front leg, and you can kind of see that he's doing like a diagonal rotation, which is exactly what we want. We're getting good mobility across that front side and into the hip flexor. It's also a good exercise for stability as you see him almost falling over. One leg RDL, arms out in front, hinging at the hip. Alternate from one leg to the other. So here we're stretching that hamstring, working on keeping a nice flat back, and you can alternate legs in between reps, Hunter. By keeping a nice flat back in between reps, we actually learn to hip hinge and not round the lumbar spine. Okay. Next up, the last exercise, our lateral squat. He's just going to go side to side with good squat posture, knee in line and behind the toes. Nice flat back, chest up tall. So this is the lateral squat. So that concludes our mobility, activation, and coordination component of the pre-workout routine. And now he's ready to do whatever's next, whether it be running or lifting.